Okay, my name is Jeff Gregg. I'm currently writing a document online of how to save money. So what I thought I'd do is explain how I go about this writing process, in terms of fully utilising technology for creative writing. Now, creative writing is where it comes out of your mind. You're not writing something that it's already written and you're rewriting it somewhere else. It's completely creative. In other words, it comes out of your brain and you need to put it down somewhere. So how do I do this? To show you how I do this, I need to share my screen, and in doing the sharing a screen, do it. Okay, right out. Right, so the first thing is I've got in the wrong tab there. I'll go to another one. Okay, there it is there. Okay, what I do is when I write stuff on a web page, my own web page. First of all, the advantage of writing on a web page is it's not stored on my computer. It's stored in my own server, and it also gets recorded as I go along. I use an application to do this called DocuWiki. Right? It is an application that's been installed on my server, so that what I can do is I can just click on something. If I want to create it, I do that. The one I'm currently working on is this one here, which is called an alphabetical list of ways to save money. So I did that, and in doing that, when I do it, I automatically write some headings, and it automatically produces a table of contents for me. Right? And you'll notice this table of contents, the way I've organised it, it's in alphabetical order. Letters for A, B, C, D, etc., etc., etc. As I come up with ideas, and one of the problems in terms of writing something is that when I'm writing, I come up with ideas. In fact, before I wrote, I come up with some ideas, and while I'm writing, I still come up with some ideas. So I'll come across this in a minute. But what I'll do, I'll take to the bottom of my list, and you'll see there's a whole lot of things I'll put at the bottom of my list beyond the letter Z, right, which are things I'm going to write about at some stage in the future of how to save money in terms of fines, videos, demand, newspapers, travel, locations, etc. And then what I do is, as I do that, I copy that out of there and paste it into somewhere else. But in doing that, I don't actually do it directly on this particular document itself, because if I did that, it doesn't have the facility to do another thing which I do, which is what's called voice recognition. So let's say I wanted to write something about newspapers, right? So I'll copy that, newspapers. One of the things is I never, ever, ever rewrite stuff that I've already written. So I've already got the word newspapers there, so I'll just put newspaper, highlight the word newspapers, right click, copy that, right, go over to here, and I've got a document, and this is another version of, this is another function. This is called Google Docs, or Google, what's it called, Google Drive. And Google Drive has the advantage in that what I can do is when I write something, I write it in Google Drive, and when I write it, I've also got certain tools available to me. And one of those tools, and by the way, I'll just put that newspapers thing in there. So I didn't put it, so I'm going to write something about newspapers now. So one of the tools it's got, if I click on tools here, is voice typing. So when I click on voice typing, well, it was already on, switch it on, I'll click on voice typing again. Okay, and it comes over here and it says voice typing. When I click on that, it gives me the ability to talk, and when I talk, it writes what I say. So I'll do that. So I'm now talking, and as I'm now talking, it's writing what I'm saying. Doesn't get it 100% right, but it does a pretty good job of it. So I want to stop that. I stop that, click on that, it stops that. Okay, so I've written something there. What I do is I look at it, I write it, stuff as I'm going along, and I quite often write, quite a bit. But when in the middle of writing something about newspapers, I might think, well, why buy a newspaper? All right, that's one of the things I'm writing. So say, why buy a newspaper? And I might want to put a heading of why buy a newspaper. But I'm in the middle of writing something else, but I've come up with an idea. What a lot of people do is have pencil and paper sitting beside them. I don't do that. I just simply go into the voice recognition and click, and then let's say I was in the middle of doing that and I want to say, I'm saying doesn't come right 100%. So I'm in the middle of editing that. I think, oh, why buy a newspaper? I want to do something about that. So rather than stopping and writing on a piece of paper, I actually go down a couple of lines, switch on voice recognition and say, why buy a newspaper? Okay, I've stopped that writing. So rather than putting down notes somewhere else, I put the notes exactly where I'm typing, And by the way, this is only a scratch pad. This is not my permanent document. My permanent document is this one back here. That one there, right? Back on newspapers, right? So my one that I'm writing on is this one here in Google Docs in Google Drive. So if I mess up something here, it's no great big deal, all right? Okay, so now that I've done that, let's say it was finished and I wanted to put it in, and even though it may not be finished, I want to copy this and put it into my other document. So I just highlight that, right? Go to copy it, right? And I'll go over here. And by the way, when I'm doing things online, what I do, notice all these little edit points when I'm doing it on a web page. I can edit any little sections of it, but I can go back and I want to go back there to an index, which I've got, right? And on this index, I'm not suggesting that you use this, I'm just suggesting this is how I can do it. So I want to do something about newspapers. So it's in the ends, so I go down to the ends, and once again, having an index, it's really good. There's N, I've got nappies there. NEW comes after nappies, so I click on nappies there. Right. I want to put in the word newspapers, so I'm going to edit at that point. So notice how easy it is to move around in the document I've got because I've got this index. If I click on edit there, it's now going to open that document on the server, right? So I can actually edit it, all right? It'll take a while because I'm doing this download, and don't worry about what all that yellow bit is at the top. That's just reminding me I need to update the software. Okay, so I can go down here, click on there, paste into there, right? And that's about newspapers, right? So if I want to have another heading for newspapers, there's a special thing I put in there. Don't worry about what this is. That way it's going to do a heading, so I'm talking about newspapers, etc. I don't care if I mess this up because I'm going to do it, and then I save it, and it goes back to the server and puts it in the right place on the server. So rather than having multiple documents open, I have this, rather than having to work directly in Word or something like that, I just do it in there. And if I want to go back and see what that is, here, go back to newspapers again, HIKN, and there we are, there's newspapers being added. I click on newspapers, it takes me to the bit where I wrote a bit about newspapers. All right, now if I want to get rid of that, I can delete that if necessary. All right, I can also come back here, and if something goes wrong, I've got a second copy of it. In fact, not only have I got a second copy of it, but if I go into tools here, I've got multiple copies of this. I go into tools, and whereas I've forgot what it is, but there's a function here somewhere that shows me all my previous versions. Sorry, file, publish to the web, email clovers, I forget where it is now, but it comes up and shows me all. Oh, there it is. There's some previous versions there. Sorry. See revision history. Oh, yeah. I click on that. Because I do it in Google Docs, if I've worked on, I keep on working on the same document, then delete it right over the top of it, delete it right over the top of it again. Here's all my previous histories. Example, I wrote an email to Diane Hunter the other day, right? And I use voice recognition to do it. And I can go back, and notice I can go back right back to May, 4th of May, when I started working on this document. And this is all the revisions I've done on that particular document, because all I do is type in a little bit, delete it, in a bit, delete it, in a bit, delete it, etc. All right. So if I make a mistake, I can go back to something I did months ago. So that's the advantage of doing it this way. Now, one other thing I'll mention. I've got Save Money, Alpha List there, up the top there. You'll notice I've also got another version of it called Save Money Alpha List. That's another advantage of being able to do things on the internet. You can do it on your local computer as well. So there's that version of it, right? And here's another version of exactly the same document in a different place. So I can see two versions of it. I can have an unlimited number of versions going if necessary. But the reason I have this other version going, you'll notice you can see what I've done up there. I've got Save Money Alpha List Legal, so I've done something about legal because I want to put a link in my original document showing something there. So what I've done is I've just highlighted that thing in the highlighted up there in the what we call the URL, just by doing that. All right, I copy that, go to my other document, and if I wanted to put a link to that inside my document, I just edit that, put in some special characters, which I'll put in to show you. Just put in special characters, which is that. All right. Okay. I want to have the word legal after it. And I also want to have an example that says, say, see legal. So I just put in the word see in front of this. See also, for example, and I'll have the words legal. See also. This is why I have the second version of the document open. Okay. All right. If I click on save now, hyperlinking. I'm saving that. It's saving it. Telling me it's saved. I go back down to again to where I've got newspapers. Okay. Once again, using my index on the right hand side here. LM Nappies newspapers. Go to newspapers. You'll see there. It's got newspapers. So I'll see also legal. So if I click on that, it takes me to where it says legal. That's how you do hyperlinks in web pages. So that's why I keep an extra version of it open. I've got that version of it open, and I have another version of it open. Okay, so I can have multiple versions of it open. That's another advantage of doing creative writing using the internet and using the a web storage rather than writing it directly on my computer. If this computer was completely to fail now, and I was to pack in, not a worry. All my documents are on the internet, right? And all my previous versions of it on the internet, because not only have I got version control in the Google Drive, right? This one here where I write it and use the voice recognition, that one there. I've also got version control in using this, and the version control means that I can go back. I haven't got it set on, so I can't show you it at the moment. I can go back and see what my recent changes are. And so every single time I've made a change. So that last little change that I did. So if I wanted to go back and correct it before that, I could do that. And this is all done completely automatically for me without me having to worry about it. I've got many versions of this same document. Okay, that's about it. If you've got any questions, give me a you can write to me. My email address is Jeffrey K. Gregg @gmail.com. Okay, and my website is jeff.gregg.net.au. All right, which is that page there. Okay. Because I'm in the editor, it comes up with that editing stuff at the beginning. Okay. All right, so if you want to know more, go to those pages. Other than that, that's the end. I'll come back and switch off my screen sharing so I can come out of this. I could come out of it without screen sharing, but I won't. Okay, there it is. Switch off my screen sharing. Okay, switch that off. It should come back to me, which it is. By the way, I'm outside today because it's cold in the morning and I'm sitting in the sun. It's nice and warm in the sun. Okay, see you later. Bye.